I was at my parents' house. I was living with them at the time. And I guess my mom had come home or something. For some reason, she heard me like in there losing my mind. And she came in and just hugged me. Like, but I just kind of like broke down even more and opened up to her and like, I'm stuck. And I was like, yeah, I literally said, if this is my life, I'm going to kill myself. And being as young as I was and saying that to my mom, like that's a real rock bottom. On this episode of the Late Night Startup Show, we were speaking with Chaitin Maycott. Chaitin runs quite a few businesses and has a lot of experiences behind each and every one of those businesses. And we had an incredible conversation. I say conversation, it kind of got to like a therapy session, which was perfectly okay. But just to forewarn you, you got to listen to him. He has a lot of experience in getting new leads and clients through his results magnet business. But more importantly, just knows how to navigate being an entrepreneur. And he's doing it incredibly well, from getting advice from his mentors, from looking into his history with his dad and what that means to him. It was just an incredible conversation, and I hope that you listen to it and take something out of it. But first, let's thank our sponsors, RCR Video Marketing Group, an Atlanta-based, multifaceted video production company creating compelling content to fast forward your business, and Digits in Motion. Rob with Digits in Motion is a great guy. He knows his stuff. Whether you need an app developed or a website, contact Digits in Motion. You will not be disappointed, but be sure to tell them that I sent you. All right, let's get into this conversation with Chaitin.
A little clap?
Yeah, usually that's how we used to do it, like the big
really?
clap, yeah.
Oh,
but then
fun.
I felt like too much of a Florida Gator fan, so I bought the real thing.
Who are you a fan of?
UGA, yeah.
UGA,
yeah,
okay,
go
you're a
Dogs.
Bulldog?
Yeah, what about you?
I, Bama.
Bama? Oh,
Yeah.
man. All
I
right.
almost went to school
thanks
there.
for joining us. It's, you almost went to school.
Almost,
I mean,
yeah.
you didn't.
Scholarship fell through last minute.
Oh, really?
Yep.
So, what made you a Bama fan? Did you grow up in Alabama?
No. Far from it.
Yeah.
Actually, really close to it.
Yeah.
Here in Georgia.
Yeah, well.
But yeah, did not have any thought about Bama at all until I applied and they accepted. And then I visited the school and thought about all the fun times I could have.
So you like became a fan after you got accepted?
Yeah.
And like that just stuck?
Yeah, that was it. And then also I like winning. So
yeah, you know,
it's kind of tough timely wise. Can't say that right now, but
that's one reason why I say I'm like no longer an Atlanta sports fan in general. Like
right.
Georgia Bulldogs, Georgia Tech, Atlanta Falcons. It just, nope, don't. I'm glad the Thrashers left because they had no shot in hell of winning anything in hockey. But yeah, I just like can't watch it, especially after the last Georgia game.
Yeah, bad.
When they went for it on like 4th and 11 against Saban, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you can't do this against Nick Saban. It was like I turned it off. I turned the game off after. I'm a huge fan. My sister went there. I didn't go to college at all, but I've always been a UGA fan. And they went for it on 4th and 11 in their own territory. And I was like, I'm done. I turned it off, didn't watch the rest of the game. And I haven't watched a single game since of Georgia.
Well, and what's funny too on the Atlanta thing, so Atlanta United finally wins and gives us a championship, and now Author Blank is getting divorced. So even when we win, we lose.
We lose.
Someone loses, you know?
Yeah.
So
his wife is winning for sure.
Yes, definitely. Third wife, I want to say.
Did you hear that Jeff Bezos and his wife is getting divorced?
All right. So the crazy thing too, from my understanding, is his new lady friend is married.
I didn't know he had a lady friend. I didn't know that.
No.
I just heard they're getting divorced. Really?
Yeah. Not with a new wife, but with a new lady friend who's married herself. So yeah, I like this gossip. This is kind of fun. I don't indulge myself too much except for Snapchat. And that kind of gets me some of my news.
She's going, his wife, or I guess soon to be ex-wife, like, what is he worth? $168 billion or something like that?
A lot.
And she's going to be entitled to half of that, I assume? I mean, it's just hard to even fathom the amount of money
what would you do
you're
with
going to
it
get.
If you were, okay, so we split it 150, so 75 billion.
75 billion.
You were gifted that. If you want to call it a gift, I don't know. I'm sure there's some emotional pain that she's dealing with. Because you have so much money. Money doesn't matter. It does, but it doesn't at that point. So she's going to deal with the grief. But I guess what would you do if you were given $75 billion?
First, I would dance. Like I would literally take
Do the money dance.
12 grand out of the bank and just like lay it out on a dance floor and just dance over it. Just not care. And then just let whoever pick it up. No, no. In all seriousness, I honestly don't know what I would do with it, because it's, like I said, it's one of those things where I just can't process having that. Like what I have now is hard to process. Like I did a podcast recently. Who would have thunk that? And we talked about, I forget, I think it was with Matt Davis. I don't know if you know Matt B. Davis, but he asked me if I envision like having all of this, all of the gear and the studio space and all that stuff. And I was like, no, I'd never, like this whole career of mine, if you can call it that, I'd never envision like having the gear. I never dreamed about having my own office or any of that. I've always dreamed about just having leverage, the ability to say no. I've dreamed about not owing money to anybody, but never like the material things really. But I didn't think about it until he asked me that. So with that being said, it's hard for me to process having all of this in the short amount of time that we've been a company. So to process having 75 billion,
right?
I don't know.
It's a few more zeros than you're used to.
Just
before the decimal point, of course.
Just a few more zeros.
75 billion.
What would you do?
Oh, my finance guy would want me to call him. That would be the first thing. Him, a lawyer. I think just because I've looked into this, I'm fascinated by the lottery. Absolutely fascinated. I don't play it.
Yeah.
My grandpa's played it, and I might have a trust fund if he didn't play it all of his life.
Yeah.
He might have a little bit more money himself if he didn't play it all of his life. I remember I asked him about things that he wished he did in his life, and he said, I wish I used all the money that I wasted on the lottery and I put it into Berkshire Hathaway when they were first starting off.
Wow.
And
Warren Buffett.
I wish he did too.
Yeah.
But who knows? Where would we be, right? I mean, maybe if we did get the 75 billion, I always wonder that flip side, just like the lottery shows, Lottery Changed My Life I've watched.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. Like, I don't know how detrimental it is in terms of ratios or proportions. I would imagine most of the time it's probably more detrimental than positive. I don't know if you would imagine that too.
In the realm of 75 billion, I'd say yes.
Yeah.
I mean, even, several hundred million, because in Georgia, it hit like 800 million or something recently. Or
didn't it go into billion?
I think it did went into billion, but by the time you pay the taxes and all that crap, it's like you only get like 600 million, right? But even that amount of money is just insane. But I think what I would do is just invest, like try to help any entrepreneur that I believe in, like find the jockey, not necessarily the business to invest in, but the jockey that I want to invest in, and like just be a part of different businesses that strike my interest. And if they fail, then who gives a crap? I'm sitting on 75 billion, like, I don't know, but I feel like it would be hard to still have that like burning desire to build something. That's why I feel like with Jeff Bezos, like having that much money, but still waking up every day, solving problems that hopefully are making the company better.
Right.
I don't know. It's hard for me to even fathom having that desire. I would just want to sit back on an island somewhere and do nothing.
You know what? See, as you say that, I think it's fascinating because as we've talked about everything that's here and, that you guys have built, I don't think you're that person. I think a lot of people, I talk about this kind of stuff a lot with my friends and family, to be where you are, albeit you're not Bezos. I'm not Bezos, but I have some nice stuff going on too.
Yeah.
I think the type of people that we are, we couldn't do that.
Couldn't just sit around.
Couldn't. Yeah. You might, and I get it. Like you've been traveling, you're hustling.
Yeah.
I am too. We all are. The people on our network, at least, we're not the type of people who could do that. The people I used to work with, executives, Fortune 500 level, like the titans of industry. And that was one of the biggest things that they said is they just said, it's lonely. I'm different. And you got to be crazy because everyone else who could get to even just their annual compensation, let alone their bonuses and things of that nature, they would say, if I got $1 million, my life would change. I'd go hit the beach forever. These people are making millions of dollars every year. And the way that they did that was by making 50,000 to start or 30,000 to start, or maybe even worse. And they built up, and one day they're sitting on a compensation of 10, 20 million a year. and they're never imagining going to the beach. Everyone else, the normal people, they're the ones who actually do mean it and say, yeah, I'll go to the beach, and they're serious. But you can't get to those levels, I honestly feel, if that's your mentality.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy. It's weird, you know?
Yeah. It's kind of like you get this bug and it's almost like an addiction, honestly. It's, there's probably a lot of things that I've done business wise that I've tried to start and develop that, just are not good for me, but for some reason it's still like this desire to just try to win or to try to build it into something. And it's incredibly hard to let go of those type of things. But yeah, I feel like once you get this bug, it just kind of exists. Which, speaking of which, let's segue then to you and like your story, where you started. What gives you this entrepreneur bug that you can't get rid of?
Yeah, so it's kind of deeper. I found this out with one of my business mentors recently. So my dad is an awesome person. His father was an alcoholic and his mother worked multiple jobs. I guess this sounds kind of cliche, but grew up in New York City in the streets, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
His buddies are now dead or in jail. The vast majority. There's one or two who made it and are getting by, kind of thing.
He wasn't around the best group of people.
No, definitely wasn't.
Yeah.
And it was fascinating to me because he went through a number of different things throughout his career. He went into the military. That was kind of a great way to get him out of there. And I think too, just as a side note, I'm not in the military, never have been, but I think for people who are in tough situations, whether it's, do I go to college? I went to college and I have a ton of debt. I don't know what I want to do with myself, what have you. That's like a super cool way to get out of it. Because I've thought in other people's shoes, what would I do if I grew up in the hood? What would I do if I grew up in the country? And I didn't have any good role models.
Yeah.
I didn't have people to look up to except on Instagram. And I don't know whether they're telling me the truth or their Rolex is rented. So that way I buy their course.
Yeah.
I think that's a cool little thing. Just easy. You can go travel. You can go get out of that bubble that may not be the healthiest bubble to be in.
Yeah.
So he did that.
You just may not get paid if you're going in right now.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I've heard fascinating studies that are saying it's very tough to get recruits these days.
Oh, I bet.
Because of so many things. Legalize marijuana. Right. If you're in Colorado, good luck being a recruiter.
Yeah.
If you're in California, if you're in, all these other various places. Have you heard of Fortnite?
Yeah. Right.
Right. I mean,
I heard of it. Yeah. I know.
I've just heard of it.
I've lost friends because of it.
Oh my God.
Well, that and
wow.
And
right?
What's the other one?
World of Warcraft. Wow.
No.
Oh, that's a pretty bad one.
What am I thinking? Oh, PUBG.
PUBG. I was about to say.
PUBG. Yeah.
PUBG. Yeah, that's it.
Huh.
That one, PlayerUnknown's Battleground. Yeah, they ruins people's
you.
lives, man. It's an addiction.
It's crazy.
It's
and
serious addiction.
Them not working out because of that, or them not. I don't know. I don't know. There's a number of different reasons, and then also us as a society kind of getting softer, I guess, in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how that.
Yeah, that's an interesting conversation because it's like.
And I will get back to our story. Segues are great.
Is softer better? Is the way that our society is becoming softer making things better? Would be my ultimate question. Because obviously in ways I feel like it is. I mean, I feel like the world's waking up a little more to like sexual harassment of women that has been accepted
right
for several years now. And, men are walking a little more on eggshells. If any man is that guy, like just feels empowered to talk whichever way they want to a woman because they feel like, they're superior. So I feel like in a way softer is better. But then there's many ways where it's like, it's just getting seen as softer means you don't have to work hard or softer means that softer is setting up this mentality of entitlement, which is obviously super dangerous. I mean, any entitlement mentality is like, I have no respect for it whatsoever at all. I don't know. It's a weird question. Like, is softer making society better?
I don't know. I guess it depends on what you value, right? It's one of those subjective ones, and where you stand determines what you see kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a woman, maybe right now it's great. If that's, the side that you're on. Some women are totally into feminism. Some despise it. I think like with Hillary Clinton, super polarizing.
Yeah.
I've had debates about this and dialogues about this. Some women are all for her.
Yeah.
Some women despise her, absolutely despise her. And of course, politics play a role into it.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes they're just doing it on the basis of she seems like she's rude or she's a jerk or whatever. I don't know.
Which is a soft mentality. Like if everyone can seem as like an asshole at some point, like we all have that ability in us. You may have just caught me on a bad day.
You have to be polarizing.
Yeah.
That's the thing is I've realized that as I get older, you have to be polarizing.
Yeah.
Love me or hate me, because if you're going to make a difference, if you're going to do something big or something different, that's it. You know, like,
so you're saying like there's very little room for the gray space.
There is room. I would just say not as much room as some may desire or have that feel for, that I'm going to please everyone. That people pleaser thing, I've had to beat that out of myself. I still beat that out of myself daily. It's just something that's not going to help you achieve what you want to achieve, because hopefully your achievements are big, they're meaningful, they're different, they're challenging.
Yeah.
It's just like if you hear enough no's, maybe you stop, or maybe that's the signal you got to work harder. I don't know. It depends on your situation.
Yeah.
But a lot of good things hurt a lot of no's.
Yeah.
And the ones that stuck it out for the right reasons, of course, they're the winners.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. All these huge companies, Fortune 500, Fortune 100, what have you, they started from probably one person who had a thought, an idea, a spark, what have you. Yeah, maybe they were able to foster some people together to then build from that. But it's tough. Like, you know it. Aggressive patience. You've been at it for years and years. I'm earlier in my journey, but I still deal with it.
I like the way you said that, though. Aggressive patience.
Aggressive patience. I stole that from MF CEO.
Yeah.
Definitely stole that.
That's good. Aggressive patience. I like it. So let's go back.
Yes,
because
back to the story.
I feel like if our audience is listening, which hopefully you are, you're saying some great things. But what's your history? You know, what gives you the credibility to give this? So let's go back to your father was going into the military. I think that's where we were.
Went into the military, did that whole thing, got out of that space because he would have had to be dedicated for a number of years, would have had to travel a lot. He wanted to build a family.
Yeah.
So my sister came around before me, and then I came after. But what I got into with my mentor that was kind of raw and visceral that I didn't really think of was, for myself personally, I'm doing all that I'm doing in terms of entrepreneurship and trying to be a leader of my team and the people around me, because I've seen everything that he's gone through. There were a number of opportunities that he had where I feel like he got cut short. And it wasn't of his doing. It was just of the situations. So an example, of course, we need some more detail. He was at a company and he was one of the executives, but he was the fourth guy in charge, so to speak. The other three were the ones who got paid out. They got caked up. They became multimillionaires. You know, I don't want to say overnight because they worked their way to that. But in that short deal, you went from doing well for yourself to being multimillionaires.
More than well. Yeah.
Right. Like in a matter of one contract signing. So that's cool. But he was the fourth guy. He wasn't in the top three. I believe it was just seniority, you know, something of that nature. But he was supposed to be in that pool and he was not. Additionally, too, they sold prematurely. His stock options were supposed to actually become valid when they went public instead of going public, because it's around 2000 when tech just hit a wall. They didn't go public. They sold out for Red Hat. When they sold out, the top three got the money. His shares were essentially null and void because they didn't go public, which was the game plan. So a mix of the timing and then a mix of, I don't know if you'd call it internal politics or whatnot. But what was fascinating about this kind of blew me away and kind of gets me curious about money and finance and happiness, all those mixed, is that those three individuals that made the boatload of money are now in a very miserable place, unfortunately. Again, like the lottery question, I don't know if it was the money that did it or life circumstances, but a number of really, really unfortunate things transpired soon after and then also a longer tail after.
What do you think? I know you don't know, but what do you think? Was it just having the extra money and they kind of got into bad things?
Greed.
Greed
to an extent. There was a mix of greed and a mix of not caring about the value of money. So an example, because it would be very obvious who I'm talking about in certain cases. Mm-hmm. So I'll try to describe some of them. One of the sons is in prison, I think, for many, many, many years. I don't know if it was a life sentence or not, but close to it.
Wow.
And he was like an angel back in the day. Mm-hmm. He was the private school kid. He was always praying and all that stuff. He would come to our mountain house all the time, and he was the role model.
Yeah.
He was younger than me, and he was a role model. Like, it was weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's now in prison for a very extended amount of time for killing someone with his bare hands. So crazy, right? And that obviously affects one of the partners that my dad was a business colleague with.
I mean, just in legal fees alone, I'm sure he's covering a lot of that.
Emotionally, I mean, all that stuff. They lost a ton of money in the housing crisis. Mm-hmm. Ton of money. The whole group of partners, because it's kind of like that group think. Oh, we got capital now. Let's go do deals.
Yeah.
Go do a deal. We'll buy in together. We'll have that sense of being able to stockpile cash and really go dispose of it.
Yeah.
And they got burned. So, and that stuff transpires then to the friends and family and things like that.
Yeah.
And suddenly the kids are getting pulled out of private school. And that's like the worst thing ever. Oh, you got to go to public school with normal people now.
It's like a very bad roller coaster. It's like it gives you that instant gratification for a little bit. And when, when you like grind and you go and then you hit the peak. And then when the ride starts, it's like, yeah, this is fun. But then you realize your neck starts to hurt after all the twists and turns after a while, right?
You must have gone on the Ninja at Six Flags if your neck was hurting.
I try to stay as far away from Six Flags as I can.
Oh, really?
Oh, man. I had like bad experiences as a kid when we went there. For real, like my head just banging against the thing and like it just didn't feel safe. So my family never really spent money on like that type of stuff anyway. What were the family vices? What were you just putting food on the table, or there were other things?
Like
Hamburger Helper was my best friend. You remember Hamburger Helper?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my mom and dad, like my mom would cook that type of stuff for us, every day. And my dad was an incredibly hard worker and would give the shirt off his back to anybody, even if it left him naked. Like that's who he was as a man.
Can you say naked again real quick?
Yeah, naked.
Oh, see, that's so funny.
Naked.
This is how I know you're from the South.
Naked.
Yeah.
Naked. How do you?
I say naked.
Naked.
And then other people say naked.
Naked. I'm saying neck. I'm saying neck.
Yeah, I love this. Yeah, it's naked. Funny how people say that word.
Interesting. I know there's words that I have that like ability to fuck up, but naked was never one of them.
Yeah.
Naked.
No, and it's not that you're doing it wrong. It's just you're doing it your way.
Yeah.
It's not that it's different.
No,
it's your way. Maybe mine is too. I have a lot of weird words, and that in particular.
It's totally not NECKED, and that's how I'm saying it. So it's just wrong. Let's just call it how it is.
Okay, fair enough. In the South, you're 200% correct. But up north, they may look at you a little special.
Yeah, just a little bit. Anyway, but yeah, that's like, that's how he was. And he was always this, he was my baseball coach. So it was, super like, you can do anything, we were always had like the kids that were a little less skilled on our team. But my dad loved that. Like he loved coaching those kids who would not get picked by any other team that were like seen as these elite teams. My dad was the first one to go in and be like, oh yeah, no, I'll give them to me. I'll sign them on my team.
He wanted the scrappers.
Yeah. Like he just wanted these people that were kind of neglected because they weren't seen as being as skilled or as talented, but they had heart. So that alone, I'm literally getting chills talking about it. That alone, like
here's my sweater. Take it.
Right. But that alone was like just so, and I don't think about it that much, but when I do think back on it, I'm like, that says a lot about me and like who I am now. Like he shaped me in a lot of ways. Unfortunately, as the years went on, the pessimist kind of came out way more. It slowly started becoming this, you can do anything you want but there's this reality and all that. So it's like, and that happened like in my teenage years when that started happening. So my whole childhood spent like on this pedestal. It's like I can do anything. Like doesn't just put my mind to it and do it to like seeing this drastic shift. I don't know why, but this drastic shift in how my parents, specifically my dad, kind of became this more pessimist mentality and more like poor me, woe is me mentality. And obviously things happen that I won't get into, but like seeing that shift from like 0 to 12 and then from like 13 to 18, like a totally different father mentality was like, it's weird. It's super weird for me, but I think it's made me who I am in both ways. Like I'm willing to kind of do anything. I want to take care of people. And like, I think people over profit all the time. But at the same time, I feel like I'm a pretty harsh realist.
Right.
Was that Ray?
Wow.
Oh, Ray's phone went off.
Whoa. This is live broadcast.
Podcast first.
How did that happen?
He's like, don't say any more about me.
That's funny.
Ray who?
Ray who? Yeah. But yeah, so it was like, it was weird. It's just, I still don't know. Like, it's almost like I can take lessons from both sides of like who my dad is and was. Like, I don't know, super weird, but that's a lot about me.
Well, you got some balance out of that, right? And if I was a psychologist, you got the good when you were really young, right? I've seen The Sopranos. Yeah. I know what they talk about. They say, tell me about your childhood, right? So you got the best half. Well, I don't want to say the best. You got a positive perspective when you were really young. So that's a good point to instill the good stuff.
Yep.
And then when you got older, you saw another side, which maybe helped you adult.
Yeah.
So you got a nice balance. And then you also got, quote unquote, the better aspect of you could do anything, etc. when you were really young. So I think that may have been a good thing for you. If you got the initial dad your whole life, you might be part of that softening.
Yeah.
But because you saw two sides of the coin, it probably made you a better person.
Yeah. Well, and I was the youngest of three. I was the last child growing up. So like, there became a point where my mom and dad just didn't give two shits about what I did. Like, I mean, they did, like if I got into too much trouble, like obviously, they would be there to like discipline me and all that stuff. But it was never like my sister used to always, she was the oldest. She used to, you guys would never let me do this. And I'm like, well, I'm the youngest and they saw you go through all this stuff and like nothing really bad happened. So they allowed me, I had a much longer rope, you know, like before I got yanked back, which I think was super beneficial too, because they allowed me to go make my own decisions and pay the consequences for those decisions, within reason. I mean, they wouldn't, you know, let me do anything. I'm not trying to make my parents sound like they just let me do whatever, because that wasn't the case, but they knew that just from experience of growing two kids prior to me, they knew that, okay, we can let him go to this certain level of making his own decisions and pay the consequences of those decisions and still parent, at the back end of all of that versus trying to parent every step of the way. No, it was interesting.
Where you don't learn on your own.
You don't learn on your own. Yeah,
I'm the youngest too, so I know it was just my sister and I. But yeah, I get that. Yeah, I definitely get that. She dealt with the harder stuff for sure, and I thank her. I thank her for that to this day. Yeah.
I think my siblings too. But all right, so we're still trying to get there.
Yeah, no, I love this though.
To you, yeah, no, it's
I love this. You know, it doesn't have to be A to B, right?
No,
we're gonna be non-linear in certain instances.
No, yeah, exactly. That's the whole essence of this show. I like it because it's giving me something to go back to constantly. But yeah, I want to hear.
We're getting closer.
We're getting close. All right,
we're getting closer. So yeah, that was interesting, and that's still insightful to me. That I personally wonder. So what if that was a thing? Boom, and then our family transpired the way that some of those other ones did. Some of the stuff they couldn't help, right?
Yeah.
Cancer, that was a thing that came up with a number of their family members. That's tough. And that's got nothing to do with money or who got this, who got that, etc. That's tough.
Yeah.
Divorces, I think that could be definitely in correlation to finances. I don't even think. I know it.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
It's one of the biggest correlations.
Is it the one? Is it number one? I know you weren't saying that, but I wonder.
I know it used to be, but I don't know if it is anymore. Well, like financial disagreements and all that stuff. Yeah, it used to be.
What's the question? I'll look it up.
Yeah, what was the
top few reasons for divorce? Maybe a numbered list.
The biggest reason for divorce. I'm pretty sure it's financial.
Isn't that crazy? Because marriage has something to do with finances, but that's not the point of marriage. It's supposed to be an emotional bond and connection.
Yeah.
But
well, you have to be on the same page. I think what leads into that. So another interesting side about my parents is they've always had 2 separate bank accounts.
To this day?
To this day.
Whoa.
They never combined anything. And when my previous girlfriend, like we, of course, talked about marriage and all that, didn't work out. But even with my wife, who was my girlfriend back then, I went into this relationship like, well, we're not having the same account. You're crazy. When we get married, we're keeping separate accounts, because that's what I had always not necessarily been taught, but what I had always seen, And then I just started looking at like my wife's parents, who had joint accounts on everything, and they were happier than my parents were together. You know what I mean? Like my parents are happy, but there's just this weird divide. I've seen them be roommates more than husband and wife. And now they're good. You know what I mean? But like growing up, there's just months that went on to where like they seem like roommates over husband and wife. So I started looking at like my wife's parents, who had joint accounts and are successful, and then like her grandparents. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to look elsewhere too. And started looking elsewhere. Everyone that had joint accounts seemed to have somewhat of an easier marriage journey, and be more on the same page. So I was like, all right, I'm doing it. Let's get on the same accounts.
Wow.
And been great. I mean, we still have our little arguments and disagreements, but my wife is incredible with money. Like, thank God, because I and Ray knows this about me. I am swipe
really?
the card, buy the new thing, new, like not necessarily the new thing, but like, especially when it came, get what I want. Like I get what I want when I want it. And especially when it comes to like building out this space and all that, is like, I don't give a shit. Like I want it the way I want it, swipe and all that stuff. Versus my wife, man, she keeps an eye on our money, and I love it. Like I love it. Most guys will probably be like, man, how do you don't get stressed? She watches every last transaction you make. I'm like, thank God.
Yeah,
we
it gives
would be
you balance.
Broke if she didn't watch every single last transaction. But anyway, so did you figure it out?
Yeah, it seems to be like mostly infidelity, but financial reasons are about 25%, I think.
Really? Actually, I think I remember reading about that, because it used to be financial for so long. And then I think the article I read was like social media and like just how easy it is to like connect now and like to hide. Like, you have apps on your phone that you can hide messages and pictures and all this stuff. So it's so much easier to cheat and like
get on Tinder or Bumble or something like that.
And be that guy and hide it. But I mean, even that, like talking about money, like money may have ruined those people's lives in some form or fashion, just like access. It's all access. Even with money, you have access to things that can be very dangerous for you. Or, if you're not strong enough mentally, can be very dangerous for you. Same with technology and the phone. You have access to so much stuff that can put you in a terrible mood. It can make you depressed. It can make you cheat on your wife way easier. Like, I think it's for some reason, it's like the more access we have to things, the easier it is to fall in this dark hole and pit of just trouble.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that's fascinating. I think that I've learned something about myself. I used to want happiness and freedom, right? I've learned for myself personally, and this may change, who knows, but for myself personally, enough freedom, a threshold of freedom, too much freedom. And I think this probably for a lot of people can be troublesome.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you have all the money to do whatever you want, you may not care about relationships as much. You're like, forget you. I'll just move and I'll go make new friends in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Friends, so to speak. I wonder that. I think anything, whether it's money or fitness or I guess happiness, a tricky one. You could say relationships, what have you. It goes back to too much of anything is going to be detrimental. Water right here.
Yeah.
Too much of this, people have passed away.
Yeah.
And then meanwhile, in other countries, and even here in our own backyard, this is something people need.
Yeah. In Flint.
in Flint, right?
Michigan. Yeah.
Is that still a thing?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They still don't have clean water. Elon Musk just put in I forget the number, but he put in a ton of like filtration systems and stuff in Michigan. But yeah, it's still a thing. Wow. They still don't have clean filtered water.
That's the news cycle for you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, come and go, and now it's not even thought about.
Weird.
But you have these people like Elon Musk, though. That the guy's making billions, and he seems to be doing okay. Did you watch the Joe Rogan podcast with him?
Yeah. Wasn't that crazy how he got slaps on the wrist?
So interesting. Well, just seeing him. That was one of the podcasts that I had to watch it. I was like, I'm not listening to it. I want to watch this guy live. And I felt bad because I felt like I was looking at like that rare animal in the zoo.
You think he's a robot?
But it was so fascinating. I don't know. His
responses are so funny. He's on another
planet. He's on a totally different planet than we are.
He's an alien then.
Just the way he thinks and the way he communicates and talks and like approaches everything is just so fascinating. To the point where I think like money just doesn't even. I don't know if he knows what money is. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like he knows he has it, but he's used it to do all this crazy shit. Like he thinks he'll make a flamethrower, which was essentially a fundraising campaign for the Boring Company to do bigger, more substantial stuff. I don't know. It's really cool.
I love it. The Boring Company.
The Boring Company.
He just doesn't care at this point. And I think, again, polarizing, right? Shareholders were pissed at him for going on the show and acting the way he did. I mean, he smoked a legal joint and they're upset with him.
Yeah.
But they're shareholders, and I kind of get it. Like when your money's tied into it.
Yeah.
As someone, again, where you stand determines what you see. I don't have stock in Tesla. I appreciate what they do. I appreciate pretty much everything that Elon's doing business-wise. But it's polarizing, right? Yep. You love him or you hate him. I know executives who think he's an idiot. He's a dunce. He's foolish, etc. What have they done? And they've done great stuff, but running a bank and operating a bank versus changing the world, like actually really changing the world, whether it's solar power, vehicles, electric, the Boring Company for transportation purposes.
Yeah.
To me, that's real stuff. If you're moving around a bunch of decimals and digits, I get it. That's cool. You're making a ton of money for your company, which then employs people, which then puts food on their table.
Yeah.
I'm with that. I'm all for it. But he's actually doing stuff that's game changing, that's making a difference.
Well, and think about how many people that have had as much money as he has and that have tried to do similar things that have not been successful. I highly doubt that he's the first one to think of a new transportation method in LA. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
But he's been able to somehow convince people to let him build tunnels under the whole entire city. Like, and I'm sure there's people that have had the same ideas. For some reason, he's successful at implementing his ideas, even though he's probably not the first one to come up with these ideas, So I think there's just something to say about that. It's a totally different mindset. But you keep, going back to polarizing. So like, let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
I feel like
I'm looking at black and white behind you, literally. Like it actually comes down the middle of your head.
Black and white.
And not that not you're polarizing.
I'm gonna do this Scarface cover back there.
I just think it's so funny because the irony. I'm hearing this and now I'm seeing it, noticing. I'm like, wow, yeah, it's so crazy. Yeah, polarization. I forget the water line, but there's an ocean where it's different colors. There's probably a few instances of that where it just doesn't mix. Love me, hate me, etc. I think my reason why I'm on to the topic of polarization is because I have always tried to be a people pleaser to an extent. And I know a lot of people are like that. So trying to break away from that and realize you have different hats. My roommate and I talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
He says, and he took this from someone else, so it's being borrowed. Can't kill a terrorist with love, right? Or kindness. Kill him with kindness is a normal expression that people use. You can't kill a terrorist with kindness.
Yeah, that's not a universal statement.
Right. Yeah, you got to have different hats. You know, soldiers have their helmets. Baseball coaches have their baseball caps, what have you. Yeah. So it just depends. And that's funny. Like Gary Vee, love him to death. I think he's got a lot of great content. And I appreciate where he's going. He's going the positivity route. But I've seen a number of his most recent stuff. And I'm like, that's great. That's true. Not always the case. Not just on him, but that kind of be the nice person, be the kind person always.
Yeah.
Happiness, kindness is always the best tool. I've realized as of recently that it's a tool in your tool belt. It's not the tool belt itself.
Yeah. Well, I think that's where tough love comes in, because like even tough love is, I mean, obviously you're not going to let your 7-year-old daughter run into the street,
Right.
to ride her bike if there's cars coming down the road.
Do you have a daughter who's 7 or something?
No, I don't. I don't.
Do you have kids?
I have 2 dogs. And that's it. No kids.
Very furry kids.
Very, very furry kids.
I have one. He's
Really?
awesome.
Yeah. Congrats, man.
Did not birth him myself. Yeah. Adopted him myself though.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
But I was just going to say, like, there's this, and this goes into like society becoming soft. We're losing the element of tough love. I think in parenting and business, like tough love is so critical to instill, because it's, we had an employee that was doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff for us and all that stuff. And he just, I don't know if he got bored or whatever it was, but it would have been super easy for me to go in and be like, man, you need to get to work. You're being lazy, and or to go in and be like, you're fired, get out of here. But I was patient, and I, dug in a little deeper to figure out where it was stemming from. Like Gary Vee says all the time, look at the well and not the sink, So I was trying to find the problem that was at the well, and come to find out, he had always had this knack for like tech stuff. He thought about going to Georgia Tech for like a tech degree or what, I don't know specifically what he was going to study, a computer science or whatever. And he had an opportunity to go into that a little bit, and I was like, man, do it. But he like wanted to keep making a steady income. He didn't know how I was going to look. I'm like, man, if you don't do it now, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life. And I was like, as much as I love what you're doing for us and you're creating all this content for us and all that stuff, I was like, I don't need you here if the whole time you're here, you're contemplating what if.
Right.
What if I were to step out and leave this job to try my tech side and see if that's where you wanted to be? And I was like, there was so many opportunities where I could have been like that angry boss, let's just leave it like that. Not even angry boss. I hate the term boss. But I could have been the boss, like get to work, you're
crack the whip,
you crap the whip and all that stuff. But no, like I'm not that guy. So, we literally had a serious conversation. I was like, man, you need to leave my company right now and go see if this is something that you're interested in. And if you're not, then, come back. We'll see where we are there.
Oh,
but
cool. Nice.
If it is something that he's interested in, then go full fledged at it. And I was like, and he's young. I was like, you're not going to regret it if you do it. Which that whole story, and that's not necessarily tough love, but that's just all love.
That's all love.
That's just nothing
Pure
tough
love.
about that. But it was all that to say, like, I feel like tough love is being forgotten about. Like back to my parents, like they have done so much for my brother, and we have a really rough relationship. Like my brother and I haven't talked in several years. And this whole time I'm like, you need to, cut him off, like stop helping and this and that. And like, that's going to do more for him long-term,
right,
than you keep, paying off his student loans and stuff. And I mean, this was years ago, so everything's changed now, but just for clarification. But back then I'm like, just cut them off, like cut it, like kick them out or whatever, because that's going to be more beneficial. I mean, obviously if a parent or somebody kicks their kid out and you run into them on the street and they're shooting up heroin, then yeah, open your doors back up and bring them back in. But statistically, that more than likely isn't going to happen. You know what I mean? That's a very rare thing. If you cut them off and you put them out on their own, more than likely they're going to have to deal with reality and figure out how to make shit work, which is more beneficial for them for the rest of their life than you continuing to baby them. And I feel like tough love is just something that is not practiced hardly at all in various forms of life and situations. So, but I think it's a polarizing thing. I think it's something you have to make that decision of like, all right, I'm done helping for the betterment of them. Like I'm going to cut off my helping hand just because I think it would better serve and benefit who they're helping than continuing to enable.
Do you think people know that? Because I agree. Yeah, they could choose one of the two sides. Are they choosing the side where they're giving and keeping that person fed because they think that's the right one? Or do they emotionally say, I cannot let them hit their rock bottom? Because that's the thing that gets them, right? Let them hit their rock bottom as soon as possible, because that's, at least from what I've seen, in my opinion, that's what's going to flip them around and get them directionally sound again.
You hope. Yeah.
You hope, right? It either goes really, really bad or
it may not go that way. And that's part of it. I mean, that's reality. You know what I mean? But I don't think it's a conversation of, should I continue to give and help them, or should I let them hit their rock bottom? I think the only way people are able to make that differentiate that is by determining the difference between giving and helping and enabling. So I think I think that's where the real conversation is. And then after you make that determination of like, okay, I'm giving and I'm helping, but now it's kind of enabled this lazy, entitled mentality. Now I'm going to stop giving so they can hit rock bottom and bounce back. But I don't think you go from giving and helping to let them hit rock bottom without recognizing that you may be enabling bad habits.
Gotcha.
So,
okay. I see that.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. I think that's a big thing is people have to have something like Tony Robbins talks about that.
Yeah.
Something has to happen, right? You got to be sick and tired.
He's not the weirdest looking guy. Like, I'm just going to throw it out there. Like,
he's a giant.
He's
literally
a giant, and like the way he looks, I just want to poke him. I'm like, you're not real. I'm like, you're not real. I'm going to flick him, and it's going to be like metal.
Oh my God. Like he's at the wax museum or something?
Yeah, he looks like a walking wax museum.
That's hilarious.
Anyway, he's a great guy. I love him.
Great guy, but his look. Well, yeah. Aesthetics are interesting. Look. I wonder because he is really, really tall. Yeah. And he's like a big dude.
Have you seen him in person?
I have. Yeah. Really? I've been to a few of his events.
Really?
Yeah.
I never
got
met him in person.
Scholarships and stuff.
Yeah.
That was another thing. I guess ties into my dad. My dad went to one and never see my dad cry ever. He came back and he was like tearful and crying. And it was strange. And I was like, what the heck's going on?
All from the Tony Robbins event.
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah.
He reconnected with his dad, or attempted to rather, because of the experience they had.
Yeah.
And found out his dad had passed away alcoholic on the street. So there's an example actually of someone who hit rock bottom, maybe, possibly.
Yeah.
And it didn't go the route of them recovering and coming back.
Yeah.
The rock bottom was life, I guess, for some people.
Yeah.
Just is what it is.
Yeah. And that's what I mean by like, if you see someone, I mean, unfortunately, your dad didn't reach out until after, but if you see someone that is on their way to rock bottom in a very unhealthy fashion, like, abusing a substance or something like that, then yeah, you're doing everyone a disservice not to help then. But that's not giving. That's just helping them, lending a hand because if you don't lend a hand, then they're not going to look for help at all. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people hit rock bottom and then they look up and like, okay, it's only up from here. Let me get a mentor. Let me, start changing my life and all that. Versus if you hit rock bottom and your way to rock bottom was, you were heavily abusing alcohol or got into any other drugs or substance, or you were just destroying friendships and relationships on the way down and all that, like, then obviously rock bottom's going to hit a little harder. I don't know. There's different rock bottoms too. You know what I mean?
It's all relative.
It's all relative. Yeah. Like you said, it depends on where you're standing, like of how you see things.
That was a tattoo I thought back in the day.
That's your one and only tattoo, right?
I actually have one right here, and it says accept and progress. I don't know. I never thought I was going to get a tattoo in my life ever. And then
me neither.
Yeah. Right. How many do you have? Lost count?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
8.
No legs.
No legs. I want more, but man, my wife, she's really good with our money.
Does she have tattoos?
Yeah, she does.
She does. Okay, cool.
Yeah, she has 2.
That's awesome.
She got one right, very odd spot, but I love it. It's like this drawing that her grandfather used to draw on every like Christmas card and birthday card on our wedding book. Like he draws this little figure, and he's like 92 or something like that, and super old. But
he is from the old school.
Yeah,
he built the old school.
He did. Well, he used to work for, speaking of building old school. Have you ever been to Pittsburgh? The 3 bridges. So he was like the VP of the company that built all of those bridges and stuff. So yeah, pretty cool. He has the most incredible stories, man. But anywho, yeah, like I feel like everyone has experienced their form of rock bottom. Like if you talk to anyone, especially an entrepreneur, they're going to be, if you ask them, have you ever experienced rock bottom? They're going to have some story of feeling like they were at rock bottom. Where my realism comes in is I feel like I've hit rock bottom multiple times.
Really?
Yeah. Huh. And I know that I'll be there again. And I don't know if it's a mental illness is a very real thing in today's time. I don't know if it's like a mental thing or whatever, but I'm always look at the worst case scenario type of guy. And I think a lot of that thought process leads me to rock bottom quicker than the average person, I guess. But I still see it as even though that sounds super negative, I still see it as a positive because I'd rather get there and bounce back sooner than later.
Fail fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh. And our rock bottoms aren't that bad, right? Like we're not in a third world country.
Yeah, exactly. You
could be homeless here and your life is better than someone who's average in a third world country. In certain countries, of course, that's a generalization. But yeah, we got it pretty good. Like we're in America.
Yeah, we have it great. Yeah. I mean, there's certain things that are completely screwed up. Like,
oh yeah.
I mean, for instance, when I don't know if I've ever told this story on the podcast, but
exclusive
podcast exclusive. I did that on Andrew's podcast. He like pointed at the wall or something. I was like, podcast exclusive. Anyway, so when I was at UPS, we started our LLC in 2012, right, Ray?
Yeah,
so
call 2012.
Yeah, called the lawyer. In 2012. And even before that, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Like I knew video production was it. Like that's what I was pursuing. I knew what I wanted to do at a very young age and skipped college and all that stuff because I knew what I wanted to do. I didn't see college as a necessity, anything like that. And I was able to pursue that while going to school, like in high school and like while working part-time jobs to pay the bills. I was still able to pursue my passion in video production. And then I started working at UPS. Long story short, I injured my elbow, got a steroid shot in my elbow, and that steroid shot completely killed my pancreas. Which is why, I'm a type 1 diabetic. Wow. Most type 1 diabetics get diagnosed very early on. Okay. I got diagnosed late. And the doctor said, one of their first questions was, have you had any steroid shots? Whoa. I said yes. And they said, I was born a type 1 diabetic, but your pancreas still has like a lifespan, you know?
Okay.
Mine was fairly healthy. And the steroid shot is what killed it.
Whoa.
So then I realized that I had to have insurance and had to be on medication every day. Like I can't go a day without taking medication. I have an insulin pump that's constantly giving me insulin and all that stuff. Then we started our LLC in 2012. And then I kept like calling in sick because I would get gigs or go shoot something. And like I kept calling in sick. That became super problematic. And then I was like, well, I guess I'm stuck at UPS because I tried to get insurance on my own and I kept getting denied over and over and over.
Oh, you weren't even getting high bills.
Because of my pre-existing condition.
Just denied.
I could not get insurance at all. So I had to stay. Wow. And the only reason UPS would keep my insurance is because I was essentially grandfathered in because I wasn't a diabetic prior to working at UPS. I don't even know if I should be saying UPS so much. F that company completely. It was such a horrible company. Complete offense to anyone who works there.
Oh gosh.
But anyway, bad history. So
well, they only gave you diabetes.
They only gave me diabetes. Deal. Exactly.
Was there not a lawsuit or anything? Like there was no.
There's nothing you can do about it because it's like
correlations.
I was a type 1 diabetic. That's the thing. Like you're born with type 1 diabetes. There's nothing you can do about it. It's just you're born with type 1 diabetes, but your pancreas still works for X amount of time. Some people it's 2 years. Some people it's 12 years. Like it just all depends on lifestyle, eating habits, and all that. Well, not kind of, but not really.
I think you were just an anomaly. Yours lasted way longer than most people with type 1 diabetes.
That's exactly what the doctor said. She was like, yeah, most people are diagnosed before their teenage years. And mine came way later. But she said there was absolutely nothing I can do about it. It was, regardless if I had the steroid shot or not, my pancreas was going to eventually shut down.
Okay, expiration date came earlier.
Yeah.
Post steroids.
The steroid essentially expedited the expiration date.
Gotcha. Bread's gone bad.
Yeah. Anyway, what I'm trying to get to is probably one of the toughest rock bottoms I had was in 2012, started LLC. From 2012 to 2014, I was calling in sick all the time, growing a company and all that stuff. And then it got to a point of realization that I couldn't leave this job, this part-time job, because I wouldn't be able to afford to live. And I was like, if I can't afford to live, then I can't do what really makes me happy. And that's pursuing video production and like being an entrepreneur like that. I can't work for anybody else. It's not in me. I've always controlled my destiny. I truly believe that, like, even with working part-time to pay the bills, I was still doing what I love. And it was the first time in my life that I realized that I had to work at a job that I absolutely hated. I mean, I was severely depressed at this job because in 2 years I like started making money doing what I love. And I was like, I can't go full-fledged into it. Like it's impossible for me to do it. And I remember just before 2014 and late 2013, I went in my room after I got out of the shower and just broke down. Like I literally just sat in there and bawled my eyes out for like an hour and started throwing things and breaking shit. And I just felt so stuck. And it was like such a bad time in my life. But then Obamacare passed, or the Affordable Health Care Act, whatever you want to call it. And I was able to get insurance and not be denied because they couldn't ask me any questions besides, do you smoke? I don't smoke. So I was able to get insurance and all that stuff. And don't get me wrong, like the amount of money that I spend on health insurance is outrageous. And I think it's a huge problem. I spend more money on health insurance a year than I would say than 99% of people make in their first job or even their second job. I mean, I get that. It's a lot of money.
It's crazy.
It's a lot of money. But talking about where you stand and perspective, I remembered so vividly that night where I broke down and like literally was at my end. And when I spent $1,300 a month in insurance, it's still better than going back to that night or like working that job, feeling like I'm stuck and all that stuff. So even though I can bitch and complain and all that stuff about all this money that I'm spending, it's still better. I'd much rather spend that money and work my ass off just to be able to spend that money than to go back to working a job that provides insurance for free, but being miserable. Like it's all about happiness. And like I felt stuck, felt completely stuck. I don't even know how I got on that story.
How do you bounce back from that? Yeah. So you have that moment, you have that hour or so of time. What is the next step after that? Like, what do you go eat a ham sandwich after that? Like,
so
what do you do next?
So, and this is like really personal, but I was at my parents' house. I was living with them at the time. And, I guess my mom had come home or something. For some reason, she heard me like in there losing my mind. And she came in and just hugged me. Like, I mean, I remember sitting on the edge of my bed and she just came and put her arm around me and like didn't really say anything. If she did, I don't remember. I was so pissed and emotional. Like it's hard to like think exactly what she said if she did say anything. I mean, I'm sure she said like it's going to be okay or whatever. But I just kind of like broke down even more and opened up to her and like, I'm stuck. And I was like, I literally said, if this is my life, I'm going to kill myself. And being as young as I was and saying that to my mom, like that's a real rock bottom. Like, suicide's a hard thing to deal with and all that stuff, obviously. But I highly doubt most people who commit suicide are telling their parents that they're going to do it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I remember saying like, if I'm at this job and I have to work this job that I mean, I can't explain to you how much I hated that job and the people there and like just how miserable it was. I was like, if I have to do this and I can't do what I want to do in life and pursue what I want to do, and that's being a business owner and entrepreneur, then there's just no reason for me to be here. I broke down even more and I just remember her hugging me and then, it came out of that and actually got a promotion.
Oh my God.
At UPS after that. I was at Disney with my wife, then girlfriend, and they called and said, we're going to give you a promotion and we want you to do this. Come to find out, the promotion, yes, I was making more money on paper.
Okay.
But I was working longer hours and I didn't know this going into it. I had to start paying for insurance. They were taking insurance money out of my check because then I became a supervisor or whatever, which is not protected by union. and not a union worker. And the union workers had insurance paid for. So when I did all the math, I was like, I'm making less money. I'm spending money. Yeah, on paper, my paycheck's bigger, but more the money going out.
Right.
For insurance and all that stuff is I'm making less money, working longer with more responsibility. And it just solidified how ridiculous of a company this was to work for.
Do you think it was a strategic play? One of their MBAs went in and ran some analysis and said, "Hey, let's grab these people." And
not at all. I think that they were trying to get me away from the belt or like the line that I was working on because I caused problems because I knew it better than the supervisors. Like I knew how to do the job, everyone's job better than them. I was a hard worker. I've always been a hard worker. Like even on a job I hate, I'm going to work hard.
Right.
It's in me. So I think they saw that and was like, okay, it's going to be easier on everyone on the line if he's like a supervisor and he has the skill level to be a supervisor anyway. But yeah, they wouldn't give me the information of pay and all that stuff. So I was like, fuck it, I'll do it. And then I realized I was making less money, told them to fuck off. I went back to working on just the belt or on the line or whatever in the warehouse. And then the healthcare thing came up. It actually ended up passing, went into effect January 1st, 2014.
Oh, see, it's like and yesterday. You can so vividly.
Yeah. And in December, I remember in December, they walked around. I was like, all right, time for everyone to pick their vacations. And I had 3 weeks of vacations built up at the time. I said, all right, the first 3 weeks of January, I'm going on a cruise. So I'm going to take all my vacations at once. Never went back. And I never went on a cruise either. So
I was going to say, yeah, that's a long cruise.
Oh, no, that's
fascinating.
Left, but I wanted to get my vacation money. So that's why I said I wasn't going to quit. I'm going to get my vacation money, then quit. I never went back. And even though it sucks paying so much in health insurance, I would never go back to that moment, man. It was such a dark time. Anyway, now that I've talked about that for an hour.
It's your cost of freedom. Yeah. No. I mean, you got to pay the bill, right?
And the audience still doesn't know what the hell you do.
Yeah. We're getting there, I guess, slowly but surely. But no, I think that's super cool. That's super cool. You got to pay your dues.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I mean, it's always going to be mixed with effort, studying, what have you, finding out what you're good at and honing it.
Yeah.
We all have dues. That was part of your dues. This one literally was a financial one. Yeah. And obviously a rock bottom of sorts. I thought like Savage Mom would have whispered in your ear, all right, now you got to clean this shit up.
Now you got to clean I know.
I'm going to give you a hug. And then like the first thing she's like, you seriously got to clean this up.
She knew I was a rebel anyway. I mean, I like what in my early year, I forget how old I was, probably like 10, but I like got all this weird paint, like blue and orange and green paint and all that stuff. And like one of my walls, I was like, I want to paint this wall. So I just got all these brushes and dipped them in these paint cans and like this splattered paint all over the wall. And it's still there to this day because my mom doesn't want to put in the work to sand it all down because she's probably just easier to tear down the whole wall.
Oh my God.
But yeah, she was there for me. And interesting enough, my dad worked at UPS too. And he was a supervisor over like several centers. He was a supervisor of the mechanics. So he had nothing to do with me. And I got the job without him even like referring me or anything like I applied because he worked there. And I was like, well, if I need him to like, vet me or whatever, then fine. But I got the job really without his help. And it caused a lot of problems between him and I because he had spent 30 years at the company. And like back then they were a great company.
Right.
Like, they took care of their employees and all that stuff. And I had just seen, they would literally lie on their paperwork to impress stockholders. They would like, if we had to meet a certain number of packages unloaded per hour or whatever, like they would just BS those numbers to make it seem better for the stockholders, even though we weren't hitting those numbers at all. Even though 100 packages went missing. Oh, no, 0 went missing.
Whoa.
Dude, it was crazy. It's crazy how full of shit that entire company was. And I remember telling my dad that and we would get into it. And then eventually, this was before I had my whole breakdown, but eventually he was like, hey, son, you're right. They just like don't give a crap anymore. Anywho, I can talk hours about how bad of a company that is. But yeah, man. So that was my like one rock bottom experience. That is probably the lowest that I've ever been. But I've had several moments of feeling like I'm just at my bottom. And
every time you got to pay payroll.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Every time taxes come in, my quarterly taxes come around. I'm like,
God.
is this really worth it? Should I go back to UPS?
There go the dues. Yeah.
There go the dues.
That's the freedom dues.
Yeah.
That's it. But I'll finish the story real quick on my end. I think it's fun though, because like this goes with success, this goes with goals or whatever. It's a roller coaster, up and down, back and forth, left, right, horizontal, diagonal, all that stuff. So it's kind of fun too when you're telling the story to see that it's not here and there. It's all over the place, but you're getting, if you're looking at a stock, so to speak, you're looking to see that it's going towards the top right.
Yeah.
So throughout all the ups and downs, you're getting that journey and you're appreciating the journey rather than destination. And you're seeing the ups, downs, all the pips, everything like that, all the indicators in that. But preferably it's going towards the top right.
Yeah.
So we're getting there, guys. We're getting there. That's a big bit of it. For me, got really into technology. That's kind of the space that my dad was in.
Okay.
Why I wanted to lump all that through is that I think I realized not too long ago that all this stuff, the entrepreneurship and the leadership and stuff, was to make dad proud. Right. So that was the raw kind of thing that I realized. I thought that it was all for me. I thought that it was all financial and, spiritual of some sort, not religion based, but just spiritual.
Yeah.
Feel good, be happy, give back. And then I think, I could probably debate this, but I think that was a core thing that I realized after speaking to one of my mentors in detail, that it was to make dad proud. He sacrificed so much, as well as my mom, my whole family. And then of course our relatives way before them, they all sacrificed for the next generation. Yeah. But he stepped up in a big way because, and his peers were typically not succeeding. And he went the total other route and said, forget that. I'm not going down that route. I'm not doing the easy way of doing things. I'm going to choose to take the hard road. And for himself, I'm sure was the first thought. And then later on in life for us, the next generation. So that's probably you too, right? I mean, that's some of the thing. Maybe it's not dad, maybe it's just the family.
Well, I was going to say, I actually struggle with like believing that anyone can reach their full potential trying to make someone else proud.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
Ric Flair's got a good one with that.
Really?
If you watched his, the local legend, if you watch his 60, I think it's 60 for 60 or 30 for 30, whatever they call it.
30 for 30.
30 for 30, right. Yeah. Okay.
Have you seen it? The Ric Flair one?
Ric Flair
one. Oh my gosh, amazing. That was one of the moments, just on that same note, he bought mom and dad, I want to say a $2 million mansion. Of course, he walks them through, hey, take a look. Oh, okay, whatever. And he's like, what do you mean? What do you mean, whatever? And they're thinking it's for him. After they just beat it and butcher it.
Yeah.
This is silly. Why would you ever spend this kind of money? He's like, oh, well, these are your keys. I bought it for you guys. Wow. This was to make you, you know what I mean? Like for you to finally see that I did it and I made it and I hustled and I'm not a screw up like you thought I was going to be. That's crazy.
That's
like,
crazy.
Thanks for the keys. We don't really want them. Like, why'd you do this?
That's insane.
So yeah, I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. It's just one of those things probably deeper rooted that I kind of realized. And I still hold it close, but now I can acknowledge that and say, hey, they're proud of me regardless.
But is that a form of like your North Star, or is it a form of keeping you grounded? Like when things get complicated or shit hits the fan or whatever, when you think about, a lot of my actions are because I want to make my dad proud. Is that more of a North Star or more of like your thing that keeps you grounded in reality?
That's a tough question. So it's recently that I realized this, very recently, like within the last quarter, something like that. So it's a tough question because I don't know the answer to that yet. And I'm reevaluating where I'm like, oh, that was not accurate. I don't need to do that. They're happy anyway,
Yeah.
Their happiness, because my parents are awesome, is rooted in my happiness.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, you could be a bum if you're the best bum and you're happy. Maybe that's a thing. Of course, that's a bad example. If you're a janitor, be the best janitor you could be.
Yeah.
As long as you're happy, that's it. Who wants to be, oh, my kids, I see this, my roommate is Indian and their culture, especially because of how much their parents sacrificed, is based on, are you a doctor? Are you a lawyer? Are you an executive? That kind of thing. You don't need to have that, like where I was going with that is at the dinner table when they're having their party or the potluck or something. I've literally been there and heard this. I can't tell you how many times I heard Ivy League schools or the top 4 accountant firms or consultancies. and you hear those buzzwords, and I'm like, how about happiness? It's weird because we don't say, oh, my son or daughter is the happiest out of all of your sons and daughters, nothing like that. But that is, to me, what really matters. Does that make sense?
Yeah, dude, that makes total sense. Because it's almost like, yeah, my son's going to Harvard, and it's like, slap that badge of honor on here, but it's completely ignoring that your son may be absolutely miserable at Harvard. Like, yeah, that's interesting.
And then wait until they get out of Harvard and it's 90-hour weeks for years and years. Okay, cool. Now they got the mansion, they got the nice car, whatever. But are they happy? Do they see their kids? Are they cheating? Do they have a vice? And that vice is rooted in, I can never please mom and dad, or I can never be good enough, or anything like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Also, proud on you for being a hustler. I wish I went to Harvard. I think that would be cool. But would I want to be unhappy in order to do that, in order to make mom and dad proud, or in order to put that badge on myself?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that you said that, your parents' happiness kind of lives through you a little bit, or in you a little bit. The more that they see that you're being successful and happy, the happier they are. And I feel like maybe I've ignored my dad say that a little bit after hearing you say that, because my dad has said a bunch of times to other people, not to me specifically, that, he's doing what I always wanted to do. Because they used to make their like home movies, like my dad and his brothers and all that stuff. And like, they would literally make short films, and they did that a lot with my brother. But by the time I got old enough to like think, they were really done doing that. So like it's always been weird hearing my dad say like, oh yeah, he's following him what I always wanted to do. I'm like, I don't even remember you guys making. I remember watching them because you made them years prior, but I don't remember like, being a part of that like my brother was. And my brother works in the film industry too. So like but I feel like maybe
he had to give it up. He had to put food on the table. That's the crazy thing, huh?
But I feel like I'm neglecting him being like, yeah, he's doing what I always wanted to do. Like for the longest time, I'm like, God, like shut up with that crap. Like, you could have done it. Like you had I believe like you put your mind to it, you do it. All the cliches, like, you control it all. And I really believe that. So I've always kind of just been like, I don't need to hear you say that. But really what he's saying is probably, I'm proud.
Right.
That's probably what he's really saying. Aw. Love you, Dad.
Tear.
Love you, Dad.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
But I never really thought about that until you heard. This is why I love this podcast, because it's like we said prior to starting this, I started this to just network with other business people, and like hopefully they hire me to do some video and all that. But also like build a community kind of for myself and like mentors for myself and all that. But I never thought that I would be sitting here hearing you say something about, your father or your parents being happy, kind of living through you, and me then come to the realization, like, that's probably what my dad means this whole time, is like, he's just proud.
Yeah. And that's
crazy, man.
It's cool. That's super cool.
It is.
I don't know what more you could ask for, because you're getting everything. You're getting the business, you're getting the emotional, you're getting all that stuff lumped in one. Yeah. Is it could this be a job in and of itself for you?
No, I mean, not anywhere near it right now.
No.
But I would love for it to be like, if the podcast started bringing in enough. I mean, right now we don't bring in any revenue. It's, it's all money out. And before we moved in here, I had a guy behind each camera. Wow. Paying people to edit and all that stuff. And now like I've scaled it back so much. As far as personnel wise goes, and I'm editing all the episodes myself now.
Cool.
Mainly because I want to listen. Like I listen to the episodes totally different. While I'm editing with my headphones on versus like listening here and still talking and hosting or whatever. But if it did take off and start making decent amount of money, I wouldn't mind doing it full time. Even though I'm more of an introvert, like just the conversations are real. Like I could care less about an elevator pitch or someone being like, "Oh, the weather's nice." Like I hate small talk. It's such a waste of time. Like I don't do it well. Anytime someone tries to start small talk with me, I feel like I'm instantly disrespectful. I'm like, no, why are you wasting your breath? Like save it, man. Like,
do you have an opener? Do you have a small talk, break the ice, anything like that on a call?
No,
or you just go right into it?
No, not really. I just go right into it. Yeah, like like we have our log line, like RCR video is, blah, blah, blah. Like we have that, but that's not something I would say like outside of being on video. Like it would be weird saying it in person. But yeah, which I mean, I guess is not necessarily a great thing because it makes me not the best salesperson, but that's okay.
It's okay.
So that's perfectly okay. As long as I'm being me, that's what's super important, is just feeling that. So the first few episodes of this podcast, I felt like I was just being kind of fake, like too much of a host, too like trying to put on this like energetic host face and all that. And then like over time, and the more and more episodes we do, is like I'm settling into just being me, and I'm perfectly okay with that. So, cool. But yeah, to answer your question, if I could do it full time, yeah, it wouldn't be the only thing that I would do, obviously, but if I could do it, make it a full time gig, I would love to. There's something about just having these conversations that is exhilarating, man.
They're cool. Yeah. No, I like them too. I think a lot of people like them.
Yeah.
Whether they're listeners or they're hosts or what have you.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. So you had a whole staff essentially for the podcast.
Essentially. I mean, it was like friends. Like Ray's always been around. Obviously he's a business partner, but we had like two more people that were friends, and then they started working with us. And like one guy I kind of like took under my wing and taught him as much as I could about like lighting and rigging and stuff like that. So he was working with me on a lot of projects, but also like helping on the podcast. But I was paying someone to edit all the time. And then those guys, it was like, I would feed them, give them lunch and a lot of stuff every time we did a show, but it wouldn't necessarily like pay them a day rate or anything. But I would in other ways. Like anytime I had a client, then I would make sure to like involve them somehow, because then I had money to pay them or funnel them, even though I had to shuffle stuff. But yeah, I wouldn't be having these conversations if it weren't for the podcast. And I see the podcast as a form of work and as a eventual form to get extra revenue, and make money. And as a business, I see it all as a business. And if you stripped all that away from it, then I wouldn't be hitting you up on Instagram like, hey man, let's talk. Like, so there's something to say about that, is like, I do see everything that I do as a business, in some form or fashion. Even conversations with my wife, it's like, we see things. She's an executive assistant to a guy that does pretty well. So like,
I probably used to call her.
I'm sorry.
I probably used to call her back in the day.
Really?
Yeah, we would refer to them as EAs.
EAs, yeah.
Or executive assistants.
Yeah.
Depending on how close the relationship was. But yeah, they're fun, man. That's some sales, cold calling stuff that I used to do. And it was interesting. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, because you're not getting the CEO. They have power, man. EAs have crazy amounts of power. Yep.
Crazy
Most
power.
people don't realize that.
Does she deal with a lot of sales calls?
Yeah, she does. Sales calls, and then a lot of their business is international, so she's dealing with a lot of international people. So she's on 24/7. But like even a lot of obviously we have like our times where we just kind of shut off a little bit. But most of our conversations are work, business related. Like if we're going to do anything and she's around, it's like, okay, she'll EA to me essentially, because she'll like look up people and like get the bullet points of who they are. So like if
awesome.
we come across them, she's like, hey, they did this and that. And then like I have the information. So like so much of our conversations are business oriented anyway, or just, I say business, but more like growth. It's just like becoming better versions of ourselves. And we know, like you said, you see the graph and you see the dot where you want to be at the top right. And like, I guess to go back to that analogy, we're constantly like looking up to that dot, Keep your eyes to the sky, never glued to your shoes, is what I say.
I never heard that
That's
one.
a Mac Miller line, actually.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
R.I.P., man.
Yeah, I know. God, it's so bad. Actually, these are his lyrics right here, too. It is what it is till it ain't.
Oh, that's cool.
Obviously, it was a big influence in my life.
Liked his last album.
Oh, it's so good. Swimming.
He had a weird prior to that. Kind of like, kind of lost me, but earlier and then the last one.
Yeah. Swimming was so good. Such a good album.
It was. Do you think he was ready to go? Because there were some lyrics and some songs in there. Like, what's he say? Not into infinity, into, there's a particular song.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I know he says like swimming through stressful waters to relief is one of them.
It's with an E, I want to say is the word. I can't think of it right now.
Was it on that album?
It was, yeah. not into infinity, but just can't get it. We'll skip over
I wonder what
that,
song it was, because I know every lyric of every song almost. I wonder what song. You know how the chorus went?
Into blah, blah, blah. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that was the chorus?
Into blah, blah, blah. Yeah, yeah.
Sounds like self-care. Sounds like...
It might be.
Yeah.
But I've talked to other people about it, and they were saying, like, I know he was a drug addict for a while, so he definitely was self-loathing, but if he was going towards that route.
I don't think he knew it or like wanted it. I think he had accepted it. Unfortunately, this is an interesting thing with entrepreneurs too. Unfortunately, I think that we get sick of battling our bad habits and we just say, oh, this is who I am. I mean, because if you're an entrepreneurship or entrepreneur and you're successful, I think every entrepreneur is going to have that one thing that probably isn't the best for them mentally or physically or, for their own happiness. But we're such strong personalities and like the whole polarizing thing is like we understand that get rid of as much gray as we can and make it a black and white thing. And unfortunately, I think a lot of that comes to, I'm a drug addict. This is who I am.
Right.
It was part of me. And like, we just accept it, even though we shouldn't be just accepting that as our reality. And I think it's a thing that a lot of entrepreneurs who make decisions and big decisions and carry a lot of weight, they see their struggles as if something that is maybe they don't want to fix, or they don't want to take the time to fix. They don't want to focus on fixing, and they just accept it as, it's me. It's who I am. I've been there a couple of times with certain things. So, I don't think that he wanted to go or knew it was coming, but I think that he had already accepted it, but not in a good way of accepting it is what I'm saying. Like, I think we accept things and sometimes it's not, they should be unacceptable,
When we're human too. So his expiration date came earlier, I guess, but we're all going to die.
Yeah.
It's a thing. Actually, one of my history professors said that was the thing that separated us between other beings, other creatures. It took us a long time to come to that conclusion because we were guessing a million different things.
Yeah.
I don't know if I agree with that, because how do we know that a shark doesn't realize that their father shark or mother shark passed away? I don't know. I'm not sure. But that was his end all be all that separated us.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about all that, but
I don't know.
It's interesting.
Yeah. He's, I mean, even this, like, saying it is what it is till it ain't is like,
what does that mean to you?
So because everyone thinks it's like negative, like pessimistic, but I think it is what it is. What it is like everyone who knows me knows that I hate that saying, and I've always hated it because I feel like it's the woe me, poor me, like whatever. It's just
I'll accept it.
Let life go. Like, and that saying just pisses me off. And the way that it's said, it's I forget the other female artist that said it years ago. But she said it is what it is till it isn't anymore. And to me, that just means like, you can say it is what it is. You can believe it is what it is, but eventually it's going to change regardless. So it is what it is till it ain't. So till it ain't means eventually it's no longer going to be it is what it is by circumstances out of your control, or you can take it is what it is and control it yourself and get it to that till it isn't part sooner than later. Like, you can change your mentality. You can, if you're looking at something like, it is what it is. Well, you can very, very easily say, but let me do everything in my power to make it something else. So
we need to get our tattoo side by side.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Is the accept and progress, same thing. I got it right after New Year's, and life was changing. Big part was entrepreneurship. It was it must have been 2016.
Okay, gotcha.
Or 17. I don't know, one of the two.
I was about to say, like, right after New Year's, damn, it's still pilling.
No, not right now. Yeah, that's a good point. It is, the new year.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's same kind of thing. Potentially, kind of seems like that's where we're going on it. But it's like, accept who you are. Right? You can't change your genetics. They are what they are. Mm-hmm. You can't change who your parents were or what your upbringing was. Yeah. That's the past. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But you can change that. You can change the things that are in your control.
Yeah.
Accept what that was, whatever it is. And then the things that you can work on them.
Yeah.
So like diet. Yeah, you're a diabetic. that is what it is, right? You could either accept that and make the best of it, or you can say, I'm a victim.
Yeah.
These other people don't have diabetes. They're so lucky. Well, you know what? Maybe those people are alcoholics.
Yeah.
Like they have their things.
Yeah.
I know that's a different comparison, but Tony Robbins, he had, what was it? Not cancer. He had an issue where it was a tumor pressing against his pituitary gland, and that's why he has giantism. That's, I think, Andre the Giant, the same way a lot of those people, it's a tumor that's hitting their pituitary gland.
Wow.
So it's not allowing them to stop the growth.
Yeah.
So they just become these giant people.
Huh.
So yeah, it's one of those things. But the stuff that you can work on, I'm with you, like fully work on that. Hopefully it's for the better. Yeah. The stuff that you can't, don't beat yourself up about. Don't compare yourself to others. Compare yourself to yourself.
Yeah.
Day before today.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're 0.0001 better. And realize that there's going to be issues with balance at times. If you're doing really well in your career, but your health sucks, you don't want to be the richest person in the graveyard, maybe you need to work out more. And yeah, that's going to be an hour less every other day of you working and being the rock star at work, but you're going to be able to live to work longer.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not going to be in the graveyard with all your millions. You're going to be able to see your grandkids, you know, and buy them that cool car when they're 16 and make them spoiled.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think there's like very, very little that we can't do something about, you know, like even on the grandest of scale is like, there's so much power in our own mentality and there's just even things that seem completely out of your control. I think that you can do something about it. Like me being a type 1 diabetic, completely out of my control, but I can still exercise and eat better to at least help. Like I will forever, there's no cure.
Right.
I will forever have it, but I can make it easier on me. Like I can still help it. I can still help that a little bit. And then like, for instance, you know, I had a receding hairline very young. Like I started losing my hair in like 9th grade. It was ridiculous. And then I graduated and all that. And I was like, man, I'm like 19, 20 years old and like already starting a cul-de-sac. Like it's bad. Cul-de-sac. That's what we called all the teachers that
That's hysterical. I've never heard that. Man, my dad's we call it the horseshoe.
The horseshoe.
I've never
that's
heard the cul-de-sac. That's hysterical.
So I was like, screw it. And I just started shaving my head out of nowhere. And now I'm like, yeah, I'm this balded, bearded badass. Yeah.
Vin Diesel, The Rock, Bezos. Actually, my friend sent me a picture of those guys. Statham. Doesn't it mean you have more testosterone? Have you ever taken a testosterone test?
I have not, but
I've heard that that's a thing.
Probably should.
That there's a correlation between the two.
Yeah.
Because you're such a man.
So
you have so much T in your system.
Testosterone causes a lot of DHT, which is what makes your hair fall out.
There you go.
Right? Yeah. I mean, it's a real thing. I was not joking. Like you're in a class of, if you look at the guys who are yoked or the big dudes or whatever, again, Jason Statham, The Rock, Joe Rogan,
that's
what
true.
have you. I guess there are some people who have a lot of estrogen who are bald too. I'm thinking of people who are like obese. Most of the time they have their hair.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm just, I don't know. That's an interesting
Either
trail,
way,
but
what it was is like, I realized that there was absolutely nothing I can do about it, but there was something I could do about it.
That's super cool.
You know? So nothing I can do about it receding and going away, but I could shave it all off. And it took me like 2 months to get a tan. At first it looked like my face and a golf ball head on top. It was like all white. So I had to go out and get a tan on my head. But anyway, that's a lighthearted way to say that, you know, yeah, there's stuff that you can't do anything about, but there's still like, you can still do something. You can still change your mentality a little bit. But anyway, well, we've been talking for just shy of an hour and a half, and I admire you not just diving into like, you know, this is my business, this is what I do, this is how we serve.
I'd rather talk.
No, I love it. I love it. Like,
I can dive. I can do a quickie.
Yeah, well, I think it's important. I just want to know, like, what is your main hustle? What are you doing? What do you do to make ends meet and your bread and butter?
Sure. So I have a few actually. Yeah. Which I think that's what a lot of us do. You have to, like you talked about your UPS and side hustle. I firmly believe that you should build the ship before you burn the ship. That's a huge thing. So for all the entrepreneurs or one-day entrepreneurs or what have you, side hustlers out there, please build that ship before you burn it. A lot of people say burn the ship. Vikings, old warriors, what they used to do. So they had no choice but to win. I feel mixed about that. You don't want to do that, and now you have no insurance, and you have your illness because of your diabetes, and now you're stuck.
Yeah.
Now you're in real deep stuff.
Yeah.
So build the ship before you burn it. Keep your insurance, do your thing, get your nut for what you need for your business to go for a year, 2 years, what have you. Figure that out, whatever you need, and then go jump in. So I don't have a full-time job. I'm not employed by the man anymore in a full-time capacity. I have 3 businesses. I'll kind of walk through them, the ones that kind of pay the bills, so to speak. So my main one is called Results Magnet, and the focus there is we help our clients get new and recurring customers or clients. Depends on if they're B2B or B2C. The way that we do that is digital advertising. So Google AdWords, SEO, social media management, that kind of stuff. And it's funny because video, obviously that's what you guys do. Yeah. We touch on that, but we don't have a red. Let's put it that way. So we can help depending on where their need set is. Yeah. But you guys, as an example, are Hollywood. And actually now I should start saying Atlanta because I believe Atlanta is beating Hollywood at this point.
I think is beating Hollywood at this point.
That's so crazy.
Crazy, right?
So crazy.
So is your focus with Results Magnet more on the smaller businesses and helping them? Yeah,
SMBs, so to speak, small, medium, big. We've worked with big multinational organizations, but our focus is helping the little guys. Yeah. It's tough to say that because usually little guys don't have the money to help themselves. Yeah. So we have to go through trying to figure out how we can make a business case for, look, you're going to invest in what we do. It's going to be more cost effective than a billboard, which you're already doing. It's going to be a whole lot more cost effective than the yellow pages, which you can't track who's coming in from. And you're going to pay us a whole lot less than we can get you back with clients and customers. So an example, actually, the call that I was making earlier is for a demolition company who's with us. And this month we got them, I'm going to say the number of the edited list, because we go through and we take out duplicate calls. We take out calls that are less than 45 seconds as an example. Because those do come through, you know, just as part of it. But 59 calls and 10 emails this month alone. And their cost to us is within few $100s. Yeah. We really make money when we add value, which is when we get you a new client, when we get you a deal, etc. Up to then, you're paying us for us to cover our bills and our overhead. But our money is in making sure that you're getting value. That's where the big bucks kind of come in, so to speak. So when they book a $2 million demolition job, we're sharing in on that profit, a rev share, so to speak.
I like it.
It's really cool because it's like, hey, we can cover our end, they can cover their end. And then when they win, we win. Yeah. We're not asking for equity or anything crazy like that. It's just rev share. You got to be transparent with us. We're going to be transparent with you. Yeah. When you get deals, you better tell us. We're meeting you halfway. So that's the main hustle.
That's awesome.
I think it's really cool.
I like it because I feel like your clients then just feel like you're more bought in. You know, they're not just signing a check and then, you know, you run it through a machine. It's like you're making sure that, you know, it's a win-win for everybody, you know?
Yeah, we're not a big buckhead agency. We're in Dunwoody. Of course, it's technically Atlanta. So we go with that. Yeah. Number of people on the team, but we're not asking these clients for $20,000 a month for a company that's a 2-person operation. Yeah. Oh, well, you're a lawyer, so you make a ton of money. We need $20,000 up front per month. Like, what? Yeah. Doesn't make any sense. I do get it though, because they have overhead. I do, you know, as you build your business and stuff, you go, oh, that's why that requires that. Yep. I used to laugh about how much they would charge people. I thought they were ripping them off. And you realize, oh no, they have 5 people who are legitimate bona fide executives. They have an office that is 10,000 square feet. Yeah. And it's in Buckhead because they need that for some of their clientele. They don't want to see them in a basement in Tucker. Yeah. You know, they have to see that they're successful or they have the appearance of success.
And it helps. I mean, even when we moved in here, is like clients that I've had for years, as soon as we moved in here and they came in and visited, it's like, oh, so you guys are like a video production company. I was like,
yeah.
you've only been hiring me as a video production company for the last 6 years.
Wow.
So, but it's funny. It's just funny how that like visual like success or like it leads to your success in some form or fashion.
Now it's a double-edged sword. I think this is interesting. So we had business cards when I was doing consulting, and they were $1 a piece. They were awesome. They were super high end, very thick, rich. Literally had gold in the cards.
Nice.
Yeah, it was nuts. They had to do the volume was like 1,000 minimum order.
Yeah.
So when someone would leave the firm or something like that, you have this stack of, oh, there's $1,000. Oh, there's $2,000 because there's 2 stacks.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. But clients would, and they're executives, so they'd look at their own business cards and be like, mine should be the best of the best. They would look at it and it would go one of 2 ways. They'd be very impressed, or they would be like, oh, you must be ripping me off. Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah.
Because here too, obviously there's things that come with this space. Some people would be like, oh, I thought I was paying for the quality, but now that I see this, you guys are living pretty nice.
Yeah.
It's funny how that works. So I don't know if you've experienced that before, but I've seen both of those. It's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I guess on like a very small level, I've experienced that, but I'm always like, all right, I don't want them as a client anyway. Like if they can't take in like this and the gear and all that stuff. And I've had it happen with clients that, I've had to have a conversation with them and kind of check them a little bit. And then now there's an understanding, but it's like, if you want me to continue to provide a better quality service, then it requires new equipment. It requires hiring editors that I'm not just a one-man band anymore, and it, with that comes, needing bigger space, better equipment. And if someone can't see the benefit of all of that, then do I really want them as a client anyway? That's how I see it. But all right, so results magnet is one, and then you have
the other one is EcoClaw. Yeah. Hey, all right, so cool.
Which I need to get because
you do?
I live in a condo.
Yes.
On the third, it's a 3-story building. And there's like buildings all over, but we are probably the farthest away from our disposal and trash can. In our complex.
See, so then
Yeah.
When people know, they know.
And I'm like, I have an SUV, so I'm like putting it in the back of my SUV and then like driving, like holding my nose the whole time. Like that sounded really weird.
Please don't spill in my car. Yeah, please don't leak. Yeah.
I'm like looking at the bag and I'm spinning it around. Like, is there anything leaking in here before I put it in my car? I know the struggle.
So you get it. Yeah.
So I am your customer.
Yes. I don't need to pitch or anything like that. It's funny. I had one guy who I met him at Atlanta Tech Village. He was like a business mentor and stuff. He's like, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
So that's why I said, when you know, funny enough, like an hour into our conversation of me trying to help him understand, I'm like, so you have family, right? Yeah. I got a son. Okay. Yeah. He's in college. Oh, where's he live? Well, he lives in an apartment. Duh. Like, okay. When you went there, did you ever see bags on hoods or trunks or anything like that? He's like, well, yeah. And then he's like, oh,
yeah.
And I'm like, dude, why did we talk for an hour on this?
Yeah.
That's it. You now get it. And he's like, yeah, it's true. My son has to go, I don't know, a quarter of a mile to get rid of his stuff. And he always hates it. And I'm like, yes, thank you. Now let's talk about the numbers. Help me with that stuff. The stuff that you're the expert in. I got the product down. I know people need it.
Well, your product is simple too, because it's like you can literally just open your rear passenger door or whatever and like just shut the strap in there and then hang. Like it's so simple. It doesn't require that much extra effort or time. And I would much rather do that than have it trying to balance on the top of my car as I'm going over 3 speed bumps and a turn. There's been times where people's bags have fallen off the car and they're like,
yes, forget it. Yeah, I'm going to work. I'm late for a date.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not cleaning that up.
They don't
That's
give
not my trash.
And then
I've done that before.
Exactly.
Oh
and then
my
other
gosh.
people roll in and they're like, oh, what is that? And then they just run over it and destroy it. It goes everywhere. So yeah, no, it's a real struggle that no one pays attention to except you, sir.
Yeah.
So
the
I
closest thing's valet trash. That's the closest, but it's expensive. Very expensive. It's not fully efficient. I've had to look at, everything. They don't come all days out of the week.
Yeah.
Holidays, it gets ruined because now they're off for 4 days and people got all their trash in the hallways. It stinks. It stacks. You can only fit 1 bag in the trash can they provide you. Well, you just had a party. You got 4 bags and they're sticking in your apartment.
Yeah.
So yeah, I appreciate that you appreciate it because there is a need for it. And what's cool too is green, right? Like I'm an Eagle Scout. Some people think that's a huge accomplishment. Others think like, whatever, everyone's got it, but they don't.
Yeah.
Green is huge to me. Like the environment needs to be taken care of. And if we can help people, especially a big portion of them, a lot of people live in apartments, millions and millions of people in this country alone live in apartments. If we can help them get rid of their trash, which is a headache, that's all it is, a headache. But then we can also help them get more involved in recycling, because now that trash is easy, maybe they'll start to recycle.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Like how many cans and bottles and etc. I've been guilty of it, going to the trash can because trash is tough enough. I'm certainly not going to recycle. Yeah, I think that's really cool. Yeah. Tailgates, people who go camping, the whole deal. There's a lot of cans and bottles and other things, paraphernalia that goes into the trash that could be recycled. And if we can enable people to get rid of that headache, then maybe we can enable them to be more proactive with recycling.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there's like a whole benefit to the older generation. You know, they may have lived in their house and as people get older, it's a large majority of them that live in a shared community or like some sort of a apartment for the elderly or something. And, you know, them carrying anything or like carrying their trash out, you know, I can't imagine like my wife's grandparents, I can't imagine them like trying to put bags on top of their hood, even if it's a car, or on the top of their roof, or like even putting it in the back, they have to reach in and they have bad backs and stuff like that. Like, so just the way yours is like literally just, just hang it up and then take it off and throw it away. Like, I think there's a whole market of like people who have some physical, you know, hindrances on taking stuff like that, taking their trash out, that it could help them, you know. They don't have to, like I said, reach the top of their roof and try to pull it off, and they're struggling because they're 95 years old. So, cool, that's man. Cool. So you said 3. Yeah. So there's Results Magnet and then EcoClaw.
You can tell I'm spread very thin, right? I got a lot of time on my hands.
I know it's intuitive something, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
You're right. It's called Intuitive Earnings.
Okay.
And the focus there is cryptocurrency, which obviously everyone is taking a beating on.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Intensively. But I've done really well.
Yeah.
Done really, really well with it. And the whole focus there is just helping people understand cryptocurrency a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I initially wanted to have the company be like a Vanguard or a Robinhood of sorts for cryptocurrency specifically.
Yeah.
Because what I was seeing is in my network of mentors, them or their network are very wealthy. They said, well, how can we put money into the market effectively into cryptocurrency? We keep on hearing about it. We see the numbers. We believe in the technology. That's what I really care about, is I'm a tech person.
Yeah.
We believe in technology. We think right now it's ground floor and it's going to expand, whether we're talking about what I call blue chip cryptos or the altcoins, blue chips being the Litecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, those sorts. How can we deploy our money into that? We don't know. And slowly but surely, Wall Street's gotten into it. Now on Robinhood, you can buy a few of the blue chips.
Yeah.
It may actually, I could be wrong on that. It may just still be Bitcoin. They're supposed to be coming around to Ethereum. Yeah. That's either dropped or it will be soon. So I was trying to figure out how we could do that. I came up with 2 ideas. It was either like an ETF kind of thing or more like a mutual fund. Mm-hmm. Okay, investor with a lot of money that they want to have in things other than business, real estate, and the stock market. You also want crypto. We can deploy it mutual fund style, where we have a number of cryptos that we suggest.
Yeah.
Aggressive, moderate, conservative, etc. We have a portfolio that we would recommend to you. Mm-hmm. Not as financial advisors, just this is our playbook, so to speak. Take it or leave it. There you go. That's what we would do if we had that kind of money.
Yeah.
Not telling you to do that. So there's that. And then there's obviously more that ETF. You really believe in Litecoin for this, and this reason. We agree with you for this, and this reason. Let's deploy X amount into Litecoin specifically, and then allowing you to safely manage that.
So did you see like a huge spike in clients through that business as like Bitcoin and all that was going crazy? And then now has it declined, or are people seeing it as opportunity now?
I think if you're really wise, it's an opportunity.
Yeah.
I've
lost a ton of, not a ton of money, but like I put money in at a bad time. Like I waited for it to dip, but I was waiting for it to dip as everything was up. You know what I mean? So
right. It's a relative dip. Isn't that weird how that works?
Yeah, exactly. And now I was like, just plummeted. But I'm like, all right, whatever, just leave it in. Like, I'm not going to touch it because if maybe next year or whatever it, comes
maybe
back
10
up.
years,
So,
maybe 20, maybe 30. What I would say is it's mixed. The really, really wise people, they bought into it for the right reasons, right? I've learned this myself, managing my own assets in it, is dollar cost average is huge. It's not just for the stock market. It's not just for business. It's not just for supplies, things of that nature. Dollar cost average is huge. I had buddies who bought it at 10,000. I didn't have buddies who bought it at 19. I'm referring to Bitcoin, of course. But there are people who were, and they were putting it on their credit cards. And thank God the government stepped in on that aspect of it and said, you have to have the cash. You have to have a debit card. You have to, you know what I mean? Like, gosh, I couldn't imagine. We thought college debt was bad. People buying Bitcoin at 19,000 on a credit card. Good luck.
Yeah.
I feel very sorry for those people. But dollar cost average, that's something I learned the hard way. It's real. So yeah, I would say if you believe in technology and you think that that's going to go in the direction that people who are in technology believe it will go, there's value there. Value typically means that we're going to see it go towards the top right.
Yeah.
Not a guarantee. It's just based on indicators. So that's why I'm in the space. And also people have said it's a moral implication. They morally feel the need that this technology needs to be supported. And that plus maybe some money that they're going to make over the course of months or years is going to be helpful too. So I'm in it. Is it my everything? No.
Yeah.
As you could tell, I'm diversified, not just businesses, not just personally, but also my stocks, my normal stuff that I invest in.
Yeah.
Got to diversify.
Yeah.
To me, if you're rich, you can go 100% into real estate, but real estate goes up and down too.
Yeah.
So
but real estate is like, to me, that's like the end goal for most investors. It's like, if you have a large portfolio, a diversified portfolio of real estate, then you're doing something right.
I agree. I still think though, like what's funny, I had to realize there's asset allocations, but who cares? Like return. What's going to return me? What's going to be somewhat stable and liquid? And when I say stable, of course, you want to go towards the top right. So kind of an oxymoron there, but like, what's the return? What's the timeline? I could care less about anything else.
Yeah.
If that's all you're in it for is the money, to me, those are the things that are really important.
Yeah.
But all the big wigs have real estate.
Yeah.
There's something there.
Very true. There's something there.
They also have everything else that we don't know about, like their stock and, their businesses and stuff. So it's a part of the pie. I would say if you can, cryptocurrency should have a place, but it shouldn't be your end all be all.
Yeah.
If you were buying it at 19,000, you should have been putting your money into other assets as well.
Yeah.
So I look at the pie as the standard traditional 33% business, 33% real estate, 33% normal Wall Street type of investments. And if you lump in cryptocurrency somewhere, probably in your Wall Street type investments, maybe it looks like 3%, maybe it looks like 5%.
Yeah. I know a guy that he did a video shoot for, I forget what it was, but it's one of the like Bitcoin platform, BitPay.
Oh yeah,
it was
down
BitPay.
the street. ATV, Atlanta Tech Village?
No.
HQ?
Well, I think he's out of there. Yeah. But the guy that I know, he owns a video production company.
Nice.
Where he did a commercial for BitPay like back in like 2011 or 12 or something. It was forever ago.
Huh?
Anyway, they paid him in Bitcoin when it was worth like $20 a coin.
Oh my gosh.
Needless to say, I have not heard from that guy in a while. And the last time I saw him, he like pulled up in his Ferrari and all that stuff. I was like, yeah, he cashed out. he's doing all right.
Dollar cost average. That's the thing too, because maybe he sold it at 4,500, but it would have been great to sell it at 19,000.
I think he held on to it until like it went up to like 16 or 17. I'm pretty sure, because when it went up that high was when like he kind of fell off the map and was like, all right, buying a house, buying a car, and all that. So I'm pretty sure he waited till it was like 16 or 17 grand. So he cashed out. Now he's having some legal troubles for something else, but hopefully he comes out of that on the right side. So
dollar cost average your life, people.
Yeah.
Don't go so deep. Don't go so off the diving board that it's just, that's crazy. Yeah.
Diversify and steady.
Diversify your life.
Yeah. Diversify your life. All right, man. Well, let's bring it to a close. We've been talking forever, which is great. I love the ones that go forever because I know that it's like a good conversation. No offense to my last one that went like 45 minutes, but anywho, Where can people find you if you want to give your social media out and all that stuff?
Yeah, sure. Results Magnet handles all across the platforms.
Okay.
Digital marketing agency. So we got that covered. Resultsmagnet.com. EcoClaw is EcoClaw.com. Same thing across the board. You could find us at EcoClaw. And you could find me in the A.
Find me in the A. Hey. Perfect, man. Well, thank you so much for being here. It was great talking to you. And I can already tell I'll probably hit you up again, like along the line, and have you on the podcast again, because I think there's benefit of having like repeat guests, especially, I mean, within the last 5 minutes, I'm like, all right, we could do a whole podcast about cryptocurrencies and
that's
that
what I'm
side
saying.
of the business and all that. So we'll definitely be talking again, man. I really appreciate you being here.
Cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.